Pepsi has released dozens of flavors since 1988, and the ones that failed did not just quietly disappear. One got murdered by a kamikaze product, Coca-Cola, built specifically to hurt Pepsi. Another used a dye that is banned all across Europe. And one inventor openly admitted his product tasted terrible. $474 million in sales is where this story starts. Crystal Pepsi. Crystal Pepsi pulled $474 million in year one sales and was dead inside 18 months, killed by a competitor's drink that Coca-Cola designed from the start to self-destruct. The man behind it was David Novak, who later ran Yum Brands. In 1991, Pepsi was chasing the early 90s clear as healthy trend, the same wave that gave the world clear soaps and clear deodorants. Pepsi tested over 1,000 product concepts and 3,000 different formulations before landing on a final recipe. They stripped out the caramel coloring, swapped in modified food starch, and cut 20 calories per can. A 12-ounce serving dropped from regular Pepsi's 154 calories to 134. The formula was caffeine-free since caffeine did not fit the pure image they were selling. Test markets launched in April 1992 across Dallas, Providence, Salt Lake City, and Colorado. By December, it rolled out nationwide. The Super Bowl ad set to Van Halen's Right Now turned it into a national obsession in just one broadcast. In year one, Crystal Pepsi grabbed a full 1% of the entire U.S. soft drink market. Coca-Cola was not going to let that stand. On December 14, 1992, Coke launched Tab Clear, what their own marketing chief Sergio Zeman later called a kamikaze product, designed to dye and take Crystal Pepsi down with it. Tab Clear was labeled sugar-free and marketed almost like medicine, which confused shoppers into thinking Crystal Pepsi must be diet too. The plan worked. Both drinks were dead within 6 months. Novak admitted in a 2007 Fast Company interview that it would have been useful if he had made sure the product actually tasted good. By early 1994, Crystal Pepsi was gone. Pepsi Blue ran into a completely different problem, and this one came from inside the bottle. Pepsi Blue. Pepsi Blue used a synthetic dye that several countries had banned outright, got caught running a fake grassroots marketing campaign, and still somehow moved enough units to make it onto a Garfield movie set. Blue dropped in August 2002 as a berry cola fusion aimed straight at teenagers. The whole project started because Mountain Dew Code Red had bumped Mountain Dew's sales 6% in 2001. Executives wanted that same energy under the main Pepsi brand. 9 months of taste testing across more than 100 different berry blends produced a flavor customers described as blueberries, raspberries, or cotton candy, with a syrupy aftertaste. Pepsi never confirmed exactly which berries were in the recipe. The color came from Blue One, a synthetic dye banned in several European countries over health concerns linked to tumor growth in lab animals. That alone pushed away a significant chunk of adult customers from day one. Marketing money poured in anyway. Britney Spears starred in commercials. Papa Roach featured it in music videos. The drink showed up in The Italian Job and Garfield, the movie. The Britney campaign alone generated over 1.2 billion media impressions in the first 3 months. Sales never followed. In 2002, Pepsi Blue moved roughly 1/6 the volume of Coca-Cola's Vanilla Coke, which launched the very next day. Then Pepsi got caught hiring marketers to post on internet forums pretending to be regular fans. People figured it out fast, and Pepsi Blue briefly became internet slang for fake grassroots marketing. Discontinued in the United States and Canada by 2004, it survived in the Philippines and got a brief 2021 nostalgia comeback, but never returned permanently. An unopened 2002 bottle now sells for around $10,000 on eBay. Every flavor on this list failed fast. The next one did the opposite. It barely made a sound and kept selling for nearly 4 decades straight. Pepsi Wild Cherry. Pepsi Wild Cherry is the most successful flavor extension Pepsi has ever made, and for most of its life, Pepsi barely spent $1 advertising it. Wild Cherry hit shelves in 1988, exactly 3 years after Coca-Cola launched Cherry Coke in February 1985. It was built as a direct counterpunch in the Cola Wars, replacing an earlier failed product called Cherry Cola Slice from 1986. The launch leaned hard into late 80s energy, fast-cut ads, bold colors, and a loud rock soundtrack. A Diet Pepsi Wild Cherry version dropped the same year, sweetened with aspartame and acetylsulfame potassium. A Zero Sugar Wild Cherry followed years later when Zero Sugar replaced Diet Pepsi as the main no-calorie line. The flavor survived because it never tried to be revolutionary. Cherry syrup on top of the standard Pepsi base is exactly what cherry cola fans wanted. No clear cola gimmicks, no mystery berry blends, no banned dyes. From 1988 to 2014, Pepsi barely touched it in advertising. Then in 2014, they finally threw real money behind it. TV, digital, radio, a food service deal with Little Caesars, and a sponsorship of the National Cherry Festival in Traverse City, Michigan. A spot called Explosively Cherry ran nationally, showing cherry explosions popping off in everyday scenes. In a January 2025 interview with Fortune, Pepsi's head of marketing, Jenny Danzy, confirmed Wild Cherry was posting 8% year-over-year growth, driven largely by millennial and Gen Z drinkers. 8% growth from a flavor older than most of the people drinking it. Wild Cherry quietly dominated for almost 4 decades. Pepsi Twist launched with a massive marketing budget, a Super Bowl spot, and a global rollout, and still could not crack the American market. What it did instead was stranger: Pepsi Twist. Pepsi Twist lasted 6 years in the United States, got discontinued in summer 2006, and then watched a small country in Eastern Europe turn it into the best-selling cola on the market. Twist was first tested on July 12, 2000 in Minnesota and Texas, with mall surveys handing out 6-packs to shoppers. After strong test results, nationwide rollout followed on November 5, 2001. Almost the exact same week, Coca-Cola launched Coca-Cola with Lemon, kicking off a full citrus cola arms race. The marketing budget was enormous. The 2003 Super Bowl spot featured Ozzy Jack and Kelly Osbourne alongside Florence Henderson and Donnie and Marie Osmond. Britney Spears endorsed it in 2002 and 2003 as part of her Pepsi contract. It even tied in with Austin Powers and Goldmember. The flavor itself was straightforward: Pepsi Cola with lemon, designed to feel lighter in summer. Pepsi had been making lemon cola hybrids since 1975, when the original Pepsi Light used lemon to mask the taste of saccharin's sweetener. When aspartame replaced saccharin in 1983, the lemon was removed. Twist brought it back. American sales dropped and Twist was discontinued in summer 2006. A brief revival came in summer 2008 as Pepsi NFL Kickoff for a Double Your Pepsi Points promotion. Then it disappeared again. Outside the US, the story flipped. Twist launched in Germany in 2002 and stayed permanent for over 20 years. It launched in the Czech Republic and Slovakia the same year and is still on shelves today. In Bosnia and Herzegovina, released in late 2006, the lemon version actually outsells regular Pepsi. In 2005, Japanese toy company Takara made a special Transformers Optimus Prime figure in Pepsi colors with a cardboard Pepsi Twist bottle inside. Pepsi Twist had a massive launch and a slow fade in America. Pepsi Fire had an 8-week window and never pretended otherwise. And a liquor brand nobody expected put the whole thing in motion: Pepsi Fire. Pepsi Fire existed for exactly 8 weeks. The entire product was inspired by a cinnamon whiskey that had taken over every bar in America, and Pepsi's answer was to sell the burn without the alcohol. Fireball cinnamon whiskey had become a millennial obsession through the early 2010s. Jim Beam and Jack Daniels were already cashing in with their own cinnamon spirits. Pepsi wanted that flavor profile in a can and launched Pepsi Fire on May 22, 2017 with the slogan, "Get it while it's hot." The planned run was 8 weeks exactly, ending July 16th. Fire came in 20-ounce bottles and 12 packs of 12-ounce cans, plus a Slurpee version exclusive to 7-Eleven. The liquid was red-tinted, the branding ran hot, and the marketing was built entirely around social media. Packaging featured snap codes that unlocked exclusive Snapchat lenses and geo-filters. Late-night host Conan O'Brien ran integrated Pepsi ad content across TV, digital, and social media. This was not even Pepsi's first cinnamon attempt. In late 2004, PepsiCo spent $2.3 million launching 2 Asian market limited editions: Pepsi Fire as a hot cinnamon cola and Pepsi Ice as an ice mint cola, sold as a mood-based pairing. The 2017 American version landed badly. Reviewers said it tasted like flat Fireball without the warming alcohol kick. Twitter immediately drew comparisons to Crystal Pepsi. Pepsi Fire never came back as a permanent product. The cans now sell online for around $11 a 4-pack, mostly to collectors who missed the original 8-week window. Fire was Pepsi's attempt to bottle a cultural moment. Holiday Spice tried something harder, bottling a feeling. Pepsi Holiday Spice. Pepsi Holiday Spice was built around an insight that soda buyers were already variety-seeking. More than half were buying 6 or more different brands a year. Holiday Spice landed November 1st, 2004 in the United States and Canada for a planned 8-week run ending December 31st. The base was regular Pepsi with cinnamon and a hint of ginger, a spiced cookie, mulled cider profile. The liquid had a distinct reddish-brown color, visibly different from regular Pepsi the second you poured it. Pepsi's marketing director Dave Berwick laid out the strategy plainly: introduce limited flavors, then pull them away. The scarcity was the product. Development moved fast. Taste testing started in summer 2004. Pepsi filed the trademark for Pepsi Holiday Spice on August 2, 2004, and Pepsi Cola Holiday Spice 3 days later on August 5th. That same week, they announced 2 limited editions for the year: Mountain Dew, Pitch Black for Halloween, Holiday Spice for Christmas. Packaging leaned into the season: retro Pepsi Cola bottle caps surrounded by snowflakes, a red Holiday Spice banner underneath. Some cans included the line, "Celebrate the season with family, friends, and new Pepsi Holiday Spice." The 15-second TV commercial featured tiny elves driving a giant Pepsi truck and ended with the tagline, "'Tis the Cola." It came back for a second 8-week run in the 2006 holiday season, then vanished permanently. Since then, fans have continued to ask for its comeback. In December 2024, Pepsi responded with Pepsi Zero Sugar Gingerbread, sold exclusively through TikTok Shop in 7.5-ounce mini cans. Holiday Spice was a limited edition that became a legend. Pepsi Mango was meant to be the opposite, a permanent launch built to last, and for 4 years, it was. Pepsi Mango. Mango beverages were generating $8.9 billion in annual U.S. sales. The flavor was up over 200% in alcoholic drinks. Worldwide, 43 million tons of mangoes are produced every year. Pepsi noticed in 2019, tested a limited release, and waited 2 years before committing to a permanent launch. Pepsi Mango rolled out nationwide on March 22, 2021. The brand's first new permanent flavored cola since Pepsi Vanilla in 2016, and the first flavor ever to launch in both regular and zero sugar versions simultaneously. Available in 12 packs of 12-ounce cans and 20-ounce bottles. The recipe combined mango juice, cola, and natural flavors. A 12-ounce regular can had 150 calories, 41 grams of sugar, and 34 milligrams of caffeine. Zero sugar had none of either. The flavor built a tropical fruit layer on top of Pepsi's existing bright citrus and caramel notes. Pepsi's VP of Marketing, Todd Kaplan, said mango tested off the charts with core Pepsi drinkers, Hispanic consumers, and younger millennials, especially on repeat purchase rate. The launch ad ran nationally on TV and digital, set to Jason Derulo's Take You Dancing, showing a mango rolling across a fruit bowl to find its perfect match in a Pepsi can. Pepsi then partnered with Viacom CBS to launch a primetime CBS reality dating show built around the same concept. The flavor had already proven itself. It was first tested in 2019 as a limited release alongside Pepsi Lime and Pepsi Berry. Strong consumer response from that test convinced Pepsi to commit to the permanent rollout 2 years later. Pepsi Mango was quietly discontinued in early 2025, cleared from shelves to make room for what came next, and what came next was Pepsi watching a competitor blink. Pepsi Wild Cherry and Cream. Coca-Cola quietly discontinued Cherry Vanilla in 2024, and Pepsi moved in fast, launching Wild Cherry and Cream about 10 months later. Wild Cherry and Cream launched nationwide as Pepsi's first new permanent flavor in 4 years, the first since Pepsi Mango in 2021. It dropped in both regular and zero sugar versions, available permanently in 12-ounce cans and temporarily in 20-ounce bottles. Tasters described it as a sweet, fruity cherry burst, followed by a smooth vanilla finish with a creamy mouthfeel that gave it more body than regular cherry cola. Pepsi officially called it a sweet, fruity effervescence, followed by a smooth, creamy vanilla swirl. Pepsi's head of marketing, Jenny Danzy, told Fortune that the existing Wild Cherry line was already posting 8% year-over-year growth especially with Millennial and Gen Z fans. Cherry Vanilla Coke's exit left a gap. Wild Cherry and Cream was built to fill it. The connection back to 1988 is direct. Wild Cherry launched because Coca-Cola launched Cherry Coke. Wild Cherry and Cream launched because Coca-Cola discontinued Cherry Vanilla Coke. 37 years later, the cola wars are still running. They just moved into specialty flavors. Most new Pepsi flavors are limited editions built for short-term curiosity. Locking something in as permanent means committing manufacturing capacity, distribution, and shelf space across the country. Pepsi made that bet on Wild Cherry and Cream because Wild Cherry already proved the floor was solid. Subscribe. There is a lot more food and drink history where that came from. Click the video on screen now to see more videos like this one.